Hey everybody, how you doing? Whoa, where am I getting that from? Some kind of crazy noise there. Let me turn that down. Dave Fennoy here, another Ask Dave Fennoy Anything on this Wednesday at 6 p.m. A couple things I want you to know. I put up there, well, I got to go with that. Nope, that hand over there. Dave Fennoy voiceover training. That's where these go after we're done, going straight to YouTube. So if you miss it or you missed part of it or you want to tell your friends about it, you don't have to scroll through Facebook to try to find it. You can go right to my YouTube channel, Dave Fennoy Voiceover Training, and you will find this and all the previous Ask Dave Fennoy's Anything there. Couple of things coming up over the next few weeks. George Whittam is going to be a guest. Of course, George is a guy who does everybody's studios. There's a few guys out there. George, I do believe, was the first. Anthony Mendez will join us the following week. We'll have Raul Aldana, who is an expert with dubbing, and that's a big business now. Robert Clotworthy will join us. Dave Walsh will join us. Lori Allen will join us, and, I kind of embarrassed Mary Lynn Wisner last week, and she finally agreed. Actually, she had emailed me. She had said, yes, I missed the email, but she's going to join us in a few weeks as well. A reminder, Connection Open. Yes, I know, IpDiddle's there, Source Connect is there, but you really need to try Connection Open, and I'm going to have a couple of students working with it, so I can have them tell the world what Connection Open is like. And now, with no further ado, let me introduce my guest, the one and only Randy Thomas. What's going on? How are you?
Pleasure just hanging out with you here.
Yeah, well, you look fabulous. Is this your house, or did you rent this place just for this?
Well, this is my house, and it's in Malibu. They don't even have air conditioning. These
Uh-huh.
homes, so we have a lot of cross ventilation. The master bedroom is here, the living room is there, and this is like a meditation garden that I've
Mm-hmm.
created. So it's nice because I'm literally outside under a pergola top.
Ah, how lovely. How lovely. Now, I notice when you lean back too far, your microphone is kind of going
So
out.
I'm moving forward. How's
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So, Randy, we have known each other, well, I'm not going to say how many decades, but we've known each other for a long time. And when I first met you, I think it was in the hooked on phonics period of your life. But you had a life before that. How did you get into this wacky, crazy voiceover biz?
Wow. Well, I'll back up to the fact that as a kid, right from high school, went to New York, wanted to be an actress, worked in community theater in Detroit, Michigan, where I was from. And I wound up being in New York, studying acting and listening to the amazing Alison Steele in
Ah,
Midnight Six
the
on one of the,
real Allison Steele.
yes, she was known as the Night Bird. And I would listen to Allison. I'd never heard a woman on the radio. And if you've ever seen my TEDx talk, I talk about I was that kid with the transistor radio that I would take to bed with me and listen to my favorite DJs on AM radio. And so I would listen to her because I was studying acting. I worked as a waitress and I would get home late at night. I'd never heard a woman. Wound up realizing I was not the most talented person on Broadway in the acting classes I was in.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to Detroit and found my way to junior college and found my way on a radio station.
Mm.
College radio began the journey for me. 20 years of Detroit, New York, Miami, and Los Angeles. I also worked in Dallas. That's where I met Bo Weaver
Ah.
back. Um, and then I came out to LA in 1986, and around 1993, so it was while I was on the radio, 1986, I was on KMET, and then it became the Wave later. I became the voice of Hooked on Phonics for
Ah.
I that created the program down in Orange County. And that was really my first foray into voiceover. But as you and I were just talking, we came out of radio, so we were DJs reading copy. So that copy would sound like, if if your child has a reading problem, any kind of reading problem, get hooked on phonics. Call 1-800-ABCDEFG. So those were my first commercials. They were a gift and a blessing. We all got fired from KMET. That's when Hooked on Phonics stepped in, and they're like, we want you to be the voice of the program. We'll take care of you. And I had a beautiful royalty deal with them for a while. But then 1993, after I did the Oscars, um, is when I really started my foray into voiceover, because that's when I got fired from the Wave, which was my last job.
Well, in radio, if you haven't been fired, you haven't really been in radio.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, so that was really my last job, because at that point it had marked 20 years on the air for me. And I had just done the Oscars, and I thought, you know what? I'm obviously meant to move forward. And my husband was in the record business, so he started calling his radio station saying, hey, Randy does voiceover, because I wasn't going to move again to become a DJ. And they all started hiring me to do radio imaging. And that was really my foray. And that was how I wound up at Atlas Talent, because John Wasser was really the only guy that understood how to write contracts and book radio imaging.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So now, most of us who came out of radio had a transition period where we weren't getting hired as much for voiceover because our read was just a little bit too much like a radio guy, and we knew how to make those words do what they needed to do, or we thought they needed to do. Uh, how did you make the transition?
well, took a ton of classes. I mean, that was the first thing I had to do. I had to go to voiceover classes. I studied with everyone from Dick Orkin and Michael Bell, and I've taken so many classes, and I found that just by virtue of being off the radio, I became a better actor, and then I became a better voice actor. So the more time that I was away from being a DJ, I just became a better voiceover actor. I think the disconnect is that when you're on the radio, you're talking to your listeners. So you're basically you every day. So then when they send us into the production room at the end of the day, where we'd have to cut a couple of spots as part of our job, we would feel weird if we wanted to like give it a voice or get into it and act the copy out. Not that radio copy is very good, but I think we felt disingenuous putting on the actor in us, because we know our listeners are listening and they're like, who do you think you are? You're Randy Thomas. Don't talk like that. That's not the person we know. So I think just getting off the air enabled me to become the actor that I wanted to be.
Oh, yeah. I've got a couple of comments here I want to bring up. My wife, Monique. Randy, I'm totally digging your hat and the hot look. Looking good, girl.
Thank you. My daughter dressed me today.
Ah, okay. Well, it's good to have somebody. My wife sometimes dresses me. Well. And let's see. Oh, Jim Tasker. What's it like to have two Great Dane rescue pups in the house? Yeah, before we got on, we were talking on Skype here, and that's a big pup. I saw one of them.
Harley the Great Dane. I rescued him. I was definitely. I'm sort of looking for a picture. We took a few pictures today. Come here, Rach. Help me find a good picture that I can show them of. Okay, wait. This may be it. Let me see. Can you see?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. Hey, that works. Nice.
Yay.
Oh, lovely.
It's a 10-month-old Harlequin Great Dane. And he's a good boy. He is not yet neuter. The rescue has told us that we have to neuter him at a year, and he'll calm down. My black Great Dane, is the calmest, sweetest dog ever. Her name is Magic, and she is super well behaved. She's 6.5. So he's kind of a lot right now. And I fractured my toe on Monday.
Ow. Were you trying to kick your husband's butt or something?
I was walking I was walking too fast past the bed, kicked it in,
Oh,
literally fractured it, went down on my knees. But my daughter came home that night from Sacramento, where she's been living, and she's here for 2 weeks. So I'm like, I think I can just take it easy and let my daughter and my husband take care of me because, I'm always the one running and doing, and I'm just taking a break right now with a fractured third toe.
well, I'm going to run through just a couple of comments here. Let's see.
I don't
Uh,
get. Uh,
Jean Marie Torres, more puppies. Johnny George, Dane's Rule, Michael Glover. Do they slobber?
so
My father was a veterinarian. I've had dogs all my life, and this could turn into a dog show, but let's get back to voiceover.
yes,
Now,
yes.
you are probably one of the most, no, there's no probably about it. You are one of the most recognizable voices in the country. You have done the Oscars how many times?
10 times.
10 times. The Emmys.
I've done the Emmys probably five. I haven't done them in quite a while, but I did them 5 years ago, and I have done 20 Tony Awards, 20 years.
And SAG Awards.
SAG Awards,
Yeah.
I did them early on. I only did the first two.
So what's up with the Grammys?
I never did the Grammys, and it's not for a lack of trying. I think I went for it after I got out of radio. Because if you remember, they would put Kevin and Bean on. They liked DJs, and so Ellen Kay does a terrific job with it, and she's on the air, so it makes sense that everyone on the Grammys goes through her radio show. But I've always wanted to do it. It just wasn't meant to be.
Who knows? Life is long. It may happen. Well, I always ask everybody that's a voice actor, what their studio setup is like. What are you rocking in your studio?
Well, George Whittam will tell you, I was gifted an amazing voiceover booth. It's a 10 by 12 vocal booth from
Wow.
D. Bradley Baker when he was getting rid of it. I was
Gifted.
I was Bob Bergman put it on Facebook, and I was the first person that responded. I was doing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, and I was up before anybody in LA. And I swear I went on and I said, I can use a booth. And it was like, Randy was first. She gets it. So I took it exactly as it was. It was 18 years old. So it had been lived in. And when I moved to the house in Malibu, I pulled everything out of the interior and I had all new panels made. It's really beautiful. I had everything done special. And so I have a 416. I do have a Manley and a Manley Vox box, but mostly I run my 416 through my Avalon, and I have the Universal Thunderbolt. And
Now, let me ask you something, and you're probably going to have the same answer that I have. You've got the Manley, great mic. It was a mic that Don LaFontaine used.
yeah.
And you have the 416, half the cost. Why the 416 over the Manley?
Well, just because it's standard, I love the Manley, and all the years that I was the voice at Entertainment Tonight, I would do a side by side. Do you like the 416? Do you like the Manley? And for all the promos I did, they were like the Manley for sure. And they liked the way it was paired with the Manley Vox box. They really liked the sound that I got out of it. But now George just I was going direct from the Universal, the Apollo, and he's running it through my Avalon, the Apollo. And
So you're taking which Universal's twin?
Apollo.
Apollo twin.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I can tell you're not technical, girl.
In that way, yes.
No, but that's okay. And there's a lesson in that is that you don't have to be Mr. or Ms. Technical to have a good setup, because we have people like George Whittam who will be here next week. So he's going through your Avalon or through your Apollo and into the box, the Avalon, the 737.
The Avalon, and then that goes direct back into my iMac.
Ah, Okay. Okay.
So
Well, it's interesting. I have a Manly 2 that I've used a few times, but I keep coming back to my 416. Just keep coming on back.
it's a workhorse. I love it. And my daughter does voiceover work, and I don't change out the mic, so she's pretty much using the 416, and she does mostly commercials. So, but it works.
Yeah.
She likes.
Well, I've
Yeah.
got another question here. Let's see. Did you have to audition to do the Emmys every year?
No. What happened was when I became the first woman in history to do the Oscars, um, as we all know in the entertainment industry, especially in voiceover, the buyers, the networks, those people, they're not proactive, they're reactive. So when I became the first woman and I was now the vetted woman, everyone wanted to all of a sudden use a woman. So I became the first woman to do everything: the Emmys, the Tonys, the Kennedy Center, uh, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, um, Directors Guild, all those kinds of shows. Um, so yeah, so I didn't have to. But then once women started doing the work after, say, 2000, 2000, around there,
Mm-hmm.
then I would have to audition, and times I wouldn't get it. So that kind of sucked. But
I know what it feels like sometimes to audition for the job that you thought you had. But the lesson in that is, this business is very much what have you done for me lately.
correct.
Any job you've got, somebody had it before you, and somebody will have it after you, and you cannot take it for granted.
Not for a minute.
Y-
I've learned that. I've been blessed to have some long-term jobs. Entertainment Tonight was like 10 years, and got to do ET with Don in the beginning, and then Insider and ET, and then Bo got Insider, and then I got it back. It's just crazy. And luckily now I have Nightline. I've been with them for 2.5 years, and apparently that work has now morphed into me becoming the female ABC News voice. So
Fantastic.
it's been
Fantastic. I've got another question here. I think you know him, Jim Tasker. To what do
yeah.
you attribute your success to the most for your career?
I would say my family, my husband and my daughter keeping me grounded, because we can all get out there and get a little crazy with ourselves. And not to say that I haven't egoed out once in a while. When you're doing really high caliber work, you can start thinking that, you are as important as the work you're doing. And the answer is no, we're not. So I would say relationships are probably it. The kinds of relationships that I've been with, they keep looking for me and calling me back, and that's a blessing. And I think for me also, when you do big live shows, to be able to land it, get behind the mic, do it, make the director and everyone on the team proud, make the show great. I feel like that's what I get to do from having done it so many times. Yeah, I definitely have a really comfortable sense of ownership when I do a live show.
Well, which you have to have. Question from Gary Scales. What's the key to delivering a non announcer or not too polished read for commercial copy scripts?
Hmm. Well, that would be Rachel. She should definitely talk about that.
Speaking of which, let's bring your daughter on, Rachel, and let's talk about your teaching, your VO mastery.
Yes, yes. So, and we're going to get back to your question in a moment. So this is my daughter, Rachel Wall.
Hi.
Hey, Rachel, how are you?
Good. How are
Let's
you?
see. Let me get a little better screen. There we go.
The
Now,
question about how to not do an announcery commercial read, which is what you do, but you never were an announcer. You didn't come out of radio. For me,
Right.
the key is two things: don't wear headphones, take your headphones off. And the second thing is, if you can get short enough parts of the copy, look at it, say it, know it, turn away from the copy and say it again. And because on camera actors, they never sound like they're reading, even when they are reading, because they're standing up, they're using their physicality, they're depending on the actor as a whole to be able to, um, uh, you know, commit to
To
that
commit
script
and connect.
Yeah.
and connect. So,
Yeah, I do primarily commercial. Like I would say 90% of my work is commercial, and everyone's definitely different. I mean, I try my best not to read off the script, but sometimes that's just what you can't help but do if it's a whole passage. But yeah, I think the under delivery is kind of what everyone's asking for nowadays. Like I don't
that's
think
what they call it, the under
no,
delivery.
that's kind of the concept of it. The way that every single audition is sent to me, the specs almost 100% of the time say conversational,
Right.
and so that's just that's what the style is nowadays. So
Right.
we've got to adapt to it, whether we're
Right.
going to
This is one of the biggest issues in voiceover now with all my students. Now, typically, I'm working with people with video games. I do some other things as well, but no matter what it is, that reading the written word becomes a problem for people. And one of the things you just mentioned, read it, see what it is, and then turn away and say it. I have little sayings. The words are only there to remind you of what you're saying. Glide over the words. The writer can take us so far, but it's a representation of how we speak. It's not how we speak. I got to bring somebody on. This is my first agent up in San Francisco, Joan Spangler. So exciting to see someone who I've heard every day and night for years. Good call, Dave. Thank you, Joan. Now back to your teaching and voiceover mastery.
Oh, that's why I'm here.
So, I created voiceover mastery when I was in Fort Myers, Florida, because I was lonely.
I'm lonely. I'll teach.
Yes, and nobody had heard of Fort Myers. I'm like, come here. And we did the first 2 years down there. And then we moved to LA in 2016, and I've been doing them here ever since. But last October is when Rachel started teaming with me when we did we would do a retreat, kind of a la J. Michael Collins, but the US version. And we used this estate up in Solvang. And so that's how we started last year. And then we realized we can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it was incredible last year. We had about 12 people. And
we had
Solvang,
Scott Rummel.
Solvang, yeah, we had Scott Rummel, Melissa Disney. The year before we had Debbie Derryberry. The year before we had Paul Liberty. So it was.
And damn, we were going to have you this year, Dave Fennoy.
And, it's funny because over the last few years, I've been traveling around the country and the world even, teaching at various things, and it's just gone. All that travel is gone. I was fortunate enough not only to travel to teach, but to travel to go to voiceover conventions for pop culture, meet fans of cartoons and video games, and all of that is gone. We're all, hunkered down at home and doing what we're doing, connecting via the internet.
Yeah.
So that was what inspired us to do VO Lemonade this summer.
Yeah, so we initially started off with just around the time we were supposed to have the retreat. Obviously, we couldn't be anywhere in person. So we started off, we had Tara Strong, we did Paula Birdie again, we had Amy Doring, who's the head of promo at CBS, and then we had a lot of people just kind of conversing while we had that platform for teaching. And so we had the idea to make something a little bit more inclusive, because it wasn't just going to be because it's kind of hard, if someone reaches out, they're like, I'm just trying to get into voiceover, and it's like, it's not necessarily to that level. So we wanted to do something that was for everyone. So we started VO Lemonade, which is just making lemonade out of
lemons.
Yeah, so it was.
So do you say, no, you're a lemon, you're already part of the way to lemonade, but you're a lemon.
Everyone's on
You're
the spectrum. Yeah. It's not black or white, honestly. But yeah, so that's what we did. We just concluded it last Wednesday.
Right.
And it was awesome.
So
that's right. We had to do a little shifting around to get you here today, because we were trying to get you a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Right, right.
it's it
Because
today is
that was the
Wednesday.
last
Yeah.
VO
So
lemonade.
well,
That's why.
it was just about 3 weeks of it was 4 weeks of it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's been tough to get you on here, but yeah, Wednesdays for
Yeah.
lemonade, that was our thing.
And we
So
had Nita on last Wednesday. She
Ah, Nita Whitaker. Oh,
was on.
yeah,
It was really awesome. It was a community call. So all proceeds went to charity. We didn't make any money. 4 weeks. We gave thousands to
yeah. So
nonprofits,
it was
which was really great.
yeah, it was
God bless you.
to the animals, and that's why we're a house full of massive dogs running around. So I'm digging a hole right now.
You want
I'm
to
gonna
go
go.
down?
So,
I'm gonna go.
do you have saddles for those horses? I mean, those dogs?
We could. We could.
We do.
So, but there's actually one more, Dave, if you don't mind. I want to take a moment and talk
Oh,
about it.
please.
You know, we know a lot of people in our industry and elsewhere that have lost people in 2020. Aside from the 200,000 people who are gone, just people have lost family, friends. There's a loss of life as they knew it. So I'm going to do one more uh, community-oriented get-together on October 7th with Dennis Kleinman, who's an amazing audio.
Oh, yeah, I know Dennis.
He's been a grief counselor. So we're actually going to have a VO mastery. I think we're going to call it Good Grief or something, which that inspired me from Oprah magazine. But it's about people getting to get complete with anyone or anything that they're grieving. Because in my opinion, October is going to get more crazy, more insane. The tempers are going to get hotter and hotter right up until election day. So I thought,
And after.
And after, yeah, God forbid. So we're going to see what's going to happen. But in the meantime, I thought, so we're going to bring in a grief counselor. I have a friend who is a hypnotherapist. We're going to really talk people through any anxiety or any sadness that they're carrying.
Yeah.
And the whole point of the VO Lemonade was to empower people because we've got to stay positive and get into 2021.
Oh, yeah. We had that earthquake the other day.
Yeah.
Sitting on the couch, the thing hit. My wife and I looked at each other and it was like, 2020, really? This too? One quick thing here, because she's my first agent, I got her comment. Joan Spangler, remove the written punctuation, talking about becoming conversational. I have a saying for my students. Part of my job is to free you from the tyranny of words and punctuation. And that so is the toughest thing. What's the message? Now, just share that message with me. Don't try to make the word special. Just how do you feel? What are you thinking? Say it.
Most people get caught up in, is this the right voice? Am I saying it the right? No, you need to internalize who you are, what you're saying, and then the voice.
Yeah. Question from Trey Kendrick Mosley. How different is reading for radio imaging different from reading promo, since both are used to promote and identify a station or network?
Wow, great question, Trey. Trey is Go Murphy Media, who I've been working on making some incredible VO demos for some of my young students. So Trey he's burning up. He's got
He's
got a lot of people looking for him to help them with their video demos. So I would say, because I spent so much time in radio, I understand all the formats and the nuances between AC and then hot AC. I am typically cast not as the hot AC voice. I am generally chosen for a more heritage type radio station that's adult contemporary. And so because I know what my station is, or I have a top 40 in Mobile, or whatever, I know the station, I know the market, and I may know a slight regionalism where if I lean into certain things. When I was in Louisville, I would say Louisville, but Louisville, you'd have to lean into it. So you can play with it, have fun. It's radio, you're not being seen, you're just being heard, and you are the voice that maintains the image for that radio station. And because that's part of who I am, being a radio person, I don't think about it. Promo is a little more specific, a little more stylized. Doing news promo has really shifted me out of promo into straight ahead news. And usually you either have to take it in a newsy manner, but even in that area of promo and voiceover, I do think it's changing a little. There's a slight conversational tone, because if you can give a network that you are the voice of, if you can let your personality come out, you're going to give the network something that no one else can. Everybody can read the words, but if you can put your personality, and again, using the word ownership, if you can take ownership in the words that you are saying and the programs that you're selling, I think everybody gets that. Yeah.
The feeling that people have of you becomes the feeling of that network.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that calls for the kind of voice that people will trust, that they just believe, that but can probably, tell a joke, help them when they're grieving, deliver bad
Right.
news
Yeah.
as well as good news.
Right. In the beginning of COVID, we'll get through this together.
Yeah.
It's all about that.
In
And
these
then,
troubled times.
yeah, exactly. So you have to reflect, and the copy reflects where we are as a country, as a community, and us as people. It's a crazy, crazy time on the planet, and every morning I just take time to thank God and be grateful for my family, for my mom who's 97 in Florida, about to turn 98. I can't see her, I can't go be with her, but I see her, and before I do anything, I lie in bed and really give thanks for all the blessings in it.
I think most of us are just hoping and praying that the end of 2020 is the end of madness. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but fingers crossed, saying a prayer, and I'll sacrifice a chicken. Got a
Listen,
question here from Maurice A. Scott. What's the best advice you can give for nailing promos?
hey Maurice, well, first of all, with a voice like yours, there's no issue whatsoever, but you want to make the words mean something and come to life. Find the words, like, let them, you have to know the program you're selling, right? You have to be familiar with the program that you're talking about. And again, if you take a little ownership, if you love the show, if there's a nuance to it, and you put that in your read, if you just get, it's almost like you have to do it internally before you even read the copy. You have to decide how much you love this show. And even if you don't, you have to find a reason that you love the show, because otherwise it's just not believable.
Some of the people that I work with that are doing, trying to get into promo, they've been listening to somebody else's promo. They've been listening to a Bo Weaver. They've been listening to some comedy promos or news promos, and they're trying to imitate that instead of finding their own voice. Can you address that in your teaching with promos?
You're going to kill me, but I was just realizing that my battery's going down, and I'm asking Rachel to come bring the extension cord. Could you rephrase that question?
Yeah, I also, most of the people that I work with are video games, but
Right.
I work with some people who are working on promos because I have a history of it. And one of the things that I notice is they've been listening, which I think is a good thing. They've been listening to promos on the various networks and cable stations, but they're trying to imitate someone. And what I find is they get down the technique, but it's technique without the heart of who they are.
Right. When I first wrote my book that came out early in 2008, actually, I would, because Don wrote the forward to it, I would say, listen, channel your inner Don. Find Don's read, but find it in yourself and emulate him, especially if you're just starting. Emulate, not Don, emulate Dave, emulate anyone whose read you think is amazing, but then you have to let your own personality come through. So you have to, there are different parts of a read that you need to understand, and just emulating someone will never get it.
No.
But it might help you find tone, pacing. Those are some of the things that might help you with, but the heart, as you just said,
Yeah.
Dave.
I liken it to being a musician. The guitar players will learn, they'll listen to Jimi Hendrix or George Benson or whoever your favorite guitar players are, and learn those licks. But sooner or later, they have to make them their own. I've got a question here from Sylvain Latendresse. How do you get rid of your nervousness? How did you get rid of your nervousness the first time you did the Oscars? Are you still nervous during a recording session?
It depends. I can't say that I don't get nervous during recording sessions, especially the more important a job is, the more it means to us, the more it's going to bring up nerves. If it means something to you, it's going to create nerves, and that's a good thing, because it means you're taking it that seriously, that you are literally realizing, oh my God, I want this so bad that I'm literally nervous about it. So, but what do? You can breathe into it. I always meditate. That's a big thing for me. So I never lost my nerves at the Oscars, but it's like anyone that you talk about that has to perform live on stage. They go, I'm terrified, but as soon as I start singing, I'm fine. So, because if you truly are doing the job of a live announcer, you're so in the moment that you don't have time to think about the enormity of the job. You just have to be in it. And having done the Oscars where there was no host, that was pretty crazy. But that one was actually easier for me to sort of take ownership of it because
you had to.
Well, I felt that it was my job, since it was my 10th time, to let the audience know right off the bat, I'm going to take you through this, and we're going to have a great time. I'm going to tell you who the people are, how many times they've won. It's going to, we're going to get everything out of this incredible Oscars. Hang on, Rach. I have my charger on this thing here in the corner. Thank you.
And this is real life. This is really live. This is the way we're living now. I haven't done a live show in a while, but I had a 15-year run with the NAAC Image Awards. I did the American Music Awards and a number of other award shows, the Governor's Awards for the Academy. I am never nervous when I do that. I have a heightened sense of awareness. And I know this has happened to you. I've been on backstage or in a truck someplace, and you've got your microphone there and you've got your monitor there and a notebook,
right,
with all the pages of everybody and everything that's said, including all the lyrics to all the songs, the jokes that you thought somebody said off the cuff, they're all written in. And I would go through it, mark my pages.
Yeah.
But sometimes a presenter doesn't show. Sometimes something happens and they have to run that stuff in there at the last minute. How do you handle that? You're hearing, the director in your head, other people in your head, and while you're waiting for cue announce.
It's crazy. Well, first of all, my favorite thing about a live show is listening to the headset, because between the director, the associate director, people on camera, and everyone they're talking to, usually the director and the AD, they can be pretty funny, and there's a lot of jokes, and it's just great. It's great entertainment in a nervous situation, right? Because we're live. Once that train leaves the station, we don't get to stop till the show is done. So it's a way that it sort of keeps you in the moment. It keeps the levity light. I don't know. It's I feel that The way that I like to do it, though, I have them split my headphones. Not all voiceover people know to ask to do that. A lot of times you'll get your headphones and it's connected to, your whatever that machine is, the one where you hit one to go
The,
live.
the cough button.
Yeah.
The
So
box
there's
with the cough button.
no, no, no. You actually have to hit to
Oh,
go
you have
live.
to. Oh, yeah, to turn it on.
Oh, yeah, no, you have to hit your mic button.
Yes.
Then the other button is the one to talk to the director if they need to talk to you
Yeah.
on the PA. And as long as you know the difference in the two buttons, what I like to do is I ask my engineers to split it so I only hear the directors in my right side and I hear the full show on my left. So that as soon as the director makes, and cue announce, I smush my headphone to my head, push it behind my head, and now I'm only hearing my voice in context in the show. Because I'm not the only cue that the director is calling. He's calling me, he's calling lights, he's calling send them. So once I get cue announce, I don't need to hear them anymore. And if they make a mistake, we're screwed because I can't hear them anymore. That's the headphone behind my ear. But and then I hear myself in context. I'm not pushing it too hard. If you don't hear yourself in context, that's why some people sound like they're shouting when they're announcing versus really having the cool, right environment that you need as a voiceover artist announcer to really sit in the track.
And don't you think over the years, announce has gotten smaller in terms of volume?
You mean the level
Yes.
they project?
How pushed out it is. I've just discovered over the years, it's a little more just spoken.
That's true, but as long as it cuts through,
Yeah.
because don't forget, live television, you've got the timpanis, you've got that orchestra, you've got applause, you've got other, things that might be under you. And so you do need to make sure you're going to cut through. And I've always looked at the winner walk-up part, when we say, this is Dave Fennoy's third nomination, and tonight he picks up his first Emmy Award, whatever that is. I always thought that voice should be not totally different from your live announce voice, but almost like a golf announce.
It's a little more informational. It's a
Yeah,
little
it's
more understated.
just an aside.
Yeah.
Like while they're walking up, I'm just going to impart this. But it's not as important as, ladies and gentlemen, please, that sort of thing.
Let's see. Jim Tasker's back with us. Did you ever get an audition where the VO style description has your name on it?
Yes. And what's funny is, one, I don't think I booked that one, and two, I do get other women that will send that to me and say, ha, I just announced, I just auditioned, and they're looking for a Randy Thomas type. And let's face it, as Kevin Gershon from Entertainment Tonight would say to me, sometimes they just want anyone but Randy Thomas.
Ooh. But you know what? You can't.
Identifiable voice print.
Yeah.
Can't, yeah.
I tell students all the time, they'll tell you, oh, you're on so many video games, and how if I'm auditioning against you? I say, well, sometimes they're going to want Dave Fennoy because Dave Fennoy's been around and they could, they proven quantity, so forth and so on. Sometimes like, he's been on so much stuff. Let's just get somebody new. You don't know what the criteria is going to be for why someone gets hired. You just have to show up and do great auditions all the time.
Yeah.
And also, Jim, it has happened to me, and like you, I always feel like, oh, this is the kiss of death. When I was the voice of Hulu, I got several auditions that said, oh, we want somebody just like the Hulu guy. And apparently that's exactly what they wanted. Not the Hulu guy, but somebody just like him. Oh.
Well, it's good to be the example, though.
Well, say that's Trey. We're getting our Treys mixed up. We have two brothers out there named Trey that are both in the voiceover business. And, you were talking to Trey Mosley, who doesn't do the video production. And then there's Trey Murphy, who does.
Right.
I get them
correct.
mixed up, too.
Well, it's interesting. Trey Mosley is on, I do Nightline, which is on at 12:05 or now 12:30, but we've traded places. So Trey Mosley is actually the voice of Turning Point. Nightline has given up our 30 minutes for Turning Point, looking at all the racial situations in the country. So I have the month off, and he's doing Turning Point. Turning Point is a special, so Nightline will come back, but it's a month-long special, every night, mini documentaries about race in America, and it's brilliant. And he's doing a great job.
Fantastic, fantastic. Walter Williams. I used to always work with the foam on my shotgun mic, but lately I found they are better, sharper, less money without, but always use a pop guard. So
Yeah, I do. I use that mesh one.
Yeah.
The
the little
mesh
one that goes around. Yeah, same one I've got.
one of the 416, and I like that. I agree with you. I didn't like the foam either. But
I've never put the foam on mine.
we would always have those giant, what are they,
Oh, and radio?
the big radio mic, and it would always have that foam. And I was such an idiot when I was in radio. I didn't know. I've always been a germaphobe. So when it was my turn to get on the air, and you were after the guy that was smoking cigarettes the whole night, it was I'd spray it with Lysol.
Oh, man.
I'm sure I've killed mics in my life by spraying the foam.
Probably the foam's pretty thick. I don't think you got to the microphone. Question from Michael Haskins. When did the practice of clients asking to see your studio setup begin?
I would say only in the last few years, because originally I think they could tell if you had a good setup. Now they're doing everything remote, so they want to know really what kind of a voice actor are you? What kind of a setup do you have? If you really know what you're doing, you should be able to say, I have the Apollo, I have the 416 or a Rode, or it has to be the right type of equipment. And they also want to know, do you have Source Connect? I used to have ISDN back in the day, but I haven't had it since I've moved to LA. So I use IPDTL for my connections with ABC in New York. They dial two ISDN numbers. They're my numbers. No one else ever gets my numbers. And they're 213 numbers, which to me are very valuable. They dial my 213 area code ISDNs. It hits a tower downtown Los Angeles, and boom, it's in my laptop. In my iMac. But I would say, so they want to know, do you have Source Connect? Do you have IPDTL?
I've noticed since the pandemic that everyone is moving to having a home studio. And because so many people are just jumping on that, they want to know how your studio is. There are those of us, especially who've done TV promos in our career and have been for decades. We've had home studios. I've had a home studio for 25 years. But there are a lot of people who are just starting out. And even though it's not as expensive as it used to be, it's still expensive to get the right microphone, set up your room, whether you're buying studio bricks, a whisper room, vocal booth, VO booth to go, which a lot cheaper, but it's still money. And you still need the right equipment and get the room to sound right. So one of the things
because unless you're doing the work at that level, you don't need all of that. So if you are, you launch your career, you're doing everything right, and incrementally you're upping your gear, and and you're booking more, and now you have an agent, it's like there's all of those things. By the time you get the agent, you have to have all of the equipment, all of the connectivity, because the last thing they ever want is for someone to want to book you and you say, oh, well, I don't have that. I'll have to find a studio. No, this is COVID. There's
no more studios.
In LA there are, and then other places, but you cannot be a professional in our industry without your own setup anymore. You just can't.
Which is a reminder, George Whittam's going to be in next week. We'll discuss that. Got a question for you. Hello, I have a question for Randy. This is from Adam Ailman. Are you the female voiceover for Entertainment Tonight? If you are, how many takes do you do when you have to voice the show opener promo for Entertainment Tonight?
Well, I was for many years. That ended, I think my contract ended around 2012, and I worked for another couple of years for them. Um, and then I would come back and occasionally do special things for them. But no, the thing about Entertainment Tonight, because they would have to put the show up on the bird, as they call it, and I would be tracking it right up until that show was ready to go. There's no second takes. I had to figure out with Entertainment Tonight that if I was reading a promo they needed or the cut downs or whatever, and I would say to myself, I don't like that read, and I'd say, no, 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 can I do that again? They're like, oh, it's already gone. It's in the edit bay. So I would figure out how to screw up. If I'm having a conversation about whether I liked the read I'm giving as I'm in it, you're actually thinking about whether you're liking it, I just screw it up. And I'm like, oh gosh, I got to read it again. And do exactly what I felt it needed. And then they go, okay, thanks. And they would just take it and run. So some of it is like self-preservation.
Along the same vein, Craig Young, live reads sound stressful. Are there sight reading techniques that are helpful even in the booth?
You know, I think because of Entertainment Tonight, well, I'd been doing live before I got Entertainment Tonight, but Entertainment Tonight, I had a fax, and my main years I was living in Florida, and they would be dialing my ISDN. I would have my booth door open, waiting for the fax to come out, trying to read it as it's, and I would take it and I would. So I'm really good at cold reading. I think that was really the key to having the ET job and doing it well, is that I'm great at cold reading. Now in a live show, it's not cold because you've read the lines. And to me, the trick is that when I'm about to read a line on the Oscars or any show, just before, because you know the flow of the show,
Yeah.
just before they're going to call for my read, I'll read it. I'll
Oh,
put
yeah.
voice to it with my microphone off. And I will say exactly what I'm about to say 10 seconds later. But this way, I'm a big believer in mouth memory, muscle memory. So once those words have come out of my mouth, there's a really good chance I'll be able to say it perfectly when the mic is on. And
I truly believe one of the keys to being a great sight reader is to pre-read as much as you can. One of the
I'm on phonics, so you know.
Oh boy, let's see. Michael Haskins, thank you very much. The real helps going forward. I do have accounts with Source Connect and Connection Open. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you gotta have that. Here's one I want to definitely get. Craig Young, voice care tips.
Okay, so a couple of things I do.
Are they digging a ditch over there, or the truck going by, or?
No. I live in Malibu, and there are always helicopters flying along the ocean, and I think they're always looking for fires and stuff. So there's a lot of helicopters all the time. Wait, what was this question? This was about
voice care.
voice
How do you
care.
take care of your voice?
So I use an organic essential oil by Young Living called Thieves, and I believe in it. I also have a product called Clean Slate by Root Brand, and it's a zeolite. It pulls heavy metals out of your body, it pulls viruses, and it pulls toxins out of your body. So for me, eating a really clean diet, avoiding sugar, things like that, especially before a big show, that's the key for me. Always keeping, and if you eat a clean diet, very few things in my house come out of cans or boxes. We just like to make things fresh, and clean food is my key. Avoiding sugar, no sodas ever. All that stuff is bad.
A whole bunch of people went, oh, wow, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to take care of my voice. I want sodas and hamburgers and fried chicken. Venus Crute. Hi, Randy Thomas. So great to see you here with Dave Fennoy. Hi, Dave. Randy, how do you get to be the voice of an award show, morning show, etc.? I mean,
Well,
well, and I really think she's not asking how do you get, because you got.
how
She
was
wants to know how she's going to get to be the voice of.
okay, so I'm a big believer in manifesting what it is you want and need in life. How do you manifest it? You meditate. And if you really want a specific thing, like a show, like if there's a morning show or CBS more, I don't know, whatever it is that you're thinking about that you really want to be the voice of, I would meditate on it. I would put it out there. I would spend 20 minutes a couple of times a day, not just thinking about it, but seeing yourself do the work. And imagine how you feel when you open up your email and it says you've got a booking. And then you look at it and it's that, oh my God, the morning show booked me. Like, how do you feel when you get that email? That is the feeling, that feelingization of, oh my God, I've just hit the lottery. I've got the job of my dreams. You need to feel what that feels like. So when you're imagining, when you're wishing, when you're hoping, put the feeling into it. I promise you, that or something better will come your way. It's how it's always worked for me. I um, I'm just a really big believer in manifesting. But I watch Dr. Joe Dispenza's videos. He's a what is he? He's not a neurologist. He's brilliant, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's a neuroscientist. That's what he is, and he is all about manifesting and meditating and creating the life that you want. And so those are some of the things that I do.
You know, it's interesting that you bring that up because so often what we're actually talking about is the physicality, the promoting oneself, the practicing, the learning to read, the technique of this, that, or the other. But we really have to also pay attention to our mindset. I'm also a great believer in, well, they'll say the power of positive thinking, but the idea of visualizing yourself being successful. And the more detailed you can make that vision, the more likely it is to happen. Now, will just visualizing do it? No. You got to take some action.
So again, so say it was the morning show. I am the kind of person, sorry, I just cut my bangs and there are some pieces that are hanging in my eye.
They're attacking you.
They're
Why did
attacking
you
me.
cut me?
My mother, that's all she would talk about if she were watching this. She'd be like, your bangs are too long. The other thing that I would say in terms of manifesting something or creating something is to create a specific demo for what it is you want. I have done that. I wanted to get into news. I used Dave Walsh as my director.
Dave Walsh will be coming on in a few weeks.
No, don't miss that one because
Yeah.
Dave's amazing. And I wanted to do news. I thought, where do I want to be from now for the next 10, 15 years? And I thought, you know what? I think I'm ready for news. And we created a demo, but I never had to send it anywhere because the next day Nightline called me. They literally, Baker, my boss at Nightline, he had worked at Entertainment Tonight, and he called me the next day. He said, hey, I've always wanted to work with you. I'm ready to hire a new announcer, and are you interested in being the voice of Nightline? And I'm like, okay. And he said, can we test you, right? I said, you know what? I happen to have a demo
I just happen to have this right here.
doing news promo and an intro for the evening news. So it got me the job. So I'm not sure where the manifesting actually happened. Was it me wanting it and knowing it, doing the work, the steps, paying for a Dave Walsh, paying for a studio? Even though I have a home studio, I wanted to go to a studio and not think about anything technically. And I created it in that way. And who knew that I'm 2.5 years into Nightline, that within that time I'd also become the ABC female news voice. So it's a blessing.
You know, we're just about at the hour here. I just want to say, how does it feel to be a female icon? You, I'm serious. I get this question sometimes, not as a female icon, but did you ever think of yourself with that? How do you show up for yourself in the world? I know you get letters, emails, texts, phone calls from people telling you what an inspiration you are, especially from women, I'm sure. What does that feel like?
Oh, it feels amazing. It really feels amazing because really in this world, if you can do what you love and then through that be able to inspire those that come after you, that was kind of the source of my TEDx talk. So if you guys Google Randy Thomas TEDx, you'll see what I'm talking about. I created that one for any young woman that wants to watch it because so anyway, it's flattering, but I don't think you can live in that
No,
space.
no.
Just a nice thing. The place where I like to live is in being there for people, being there for the people that entrust me to be a part of their life, to guide them, to help them. And I also like to create opportunities for people to come in. Maybe they don't have the money to take a 3-week course of this. I create community-based courses so
Yeah.
that anyone can come and, like this is free. It's about doing what I love and sharing my love and passion for what I do.
Okay, well, as we wrap up, tell us one more time, VO Mastery, you have another lemonade coming up?
Yeah, we're going to do something on grief and just getting complete with any loss that we've had. I had a woman who said, I lost my mom a year and a half ago, but this would really help me. So it's that kind of thing. If you've
Yeah.
lost someone in the last 5 years, let's all get complete with this. We certainly all feel the loss of the life that we've known up until this year. So it's going to be super powerful. You're going to feel great when you're done. We're going to make you laugh. We'll probably have some songs. We'll do a few things. And again, if you want to know about that, write vomastery2020@gmail.com. And Rachel gets all those emails. Just say, please put me on your mailing list, and we will send you out information about the next VO Mastery.
Fantastic. Randy, love you. Known you for years. You've always shown up just like this.
Oh,
And happy to have you on. I'm sure we'll be doing it again sometime. Continued success.
Thank you. To all our Jewish friends, I want to wish everyone a happy new year. We go into Yom Kippur this weekend for our Day of Atonement and really getting clear. So I think that's what inspired that next VO Mastery. But I just wanted to wish everyone a happy new year. And I look forward to seeing you and Mo here soon.
There you go. Yeah, we'll be hanging out at the beach.
Okay.
All
great.
right. See ya. Wow, Randy Thomas, and so much good wisdom. Thank you, Randy. A reminder, next week, George Whittam. So get your questions ready for your studios, what you need to learn, what you need to buy. Get it all ready so you can get it out and save yourself the consolation fees that George would charge if you did it by yourself. Also coming up over the next few weeks, Anthony Mendez, Raul Aldana, Robert Clotworthy, Dave Walsh, Lori Allen, Mary Lynn Wisner, and the list will go on and on and on. And by the way, I'll remind you again, if you tuned in late and you wanted to hear something you missed, once I stop recording, it goes straight to my YouTube channel, Dave Fennoy Voiceover Training. Tell your friends about us. Join us next Wednesday when we'll be back with more Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. See ya.